The voice of Saturday Night Football on ABC and the worldwide leader for tennis as well, Chris Fowler. How are you, Chris?
Welcome back to New York, Rich.
Thanks, sir.
Get the Ramones playing in.
You like it?
Yeah, great to have you back in the town here. My pleasure to be here.
Oh, man, you're the best. So we saw on your Twitter feed, you were in London over the weekend? Is that what you were doing?
I missed anything in sports?
Yeah.
I was away. I didn't anything going on.
The biggest day.
I know.
Right?
Have you ever feel happily out of step with the world? I mean, there's the draft going on, NBA, NHL playoffs, the Derby, the fight. I saw, other than night one of the draft before I left, I saw none of it.
Okay.
Because I was watching my favorite soccer team since 1990, Chelsea, was a win away from clinching the Premier League, and they got that win on Sunday as my first ever trip to one of their home games at Stamford Bridge. So, you're in this business for a long time. You just get to be a fan and drink beer and be a knucklehead and cheer and go crazy and complain about the refereeing and be like everybody else. Then go to the pub and drink more beer.
So that's what you
throw
did?
Celery around. It's an old Chelsea thing. And it was just a great weekend.
Celery? What is that? What do you mean it's an old Chelsea thing to throw food?
Well, that particular, I guess it's not a vegetable, an herb. Celery is an herb, I'm told. There's a song from the 80s that involves taking a celery stick and tickling a woman's bum.
Okay.
And then there's a word that rhymes with bum.
Accept that.
And so they adopted that song in the 80s and now it brings celery to the matches and throw it around. They brought it to the pub. They threw some celery and hit a passing police car outside the pub. And that shut down all alcohol service for a half hour. So people said, "Welcome to London, Chris. This is what we do." And
so just for half an hour?
Just for double secret probation for a half hour to cool things. You'd be amazed how much a dent that can make, just 30 minutes of no beer service.
That sounds like a 30-minute major, right? Penalty. Like
it felt like a major penalty. It was a buzzkill, but you can't throw celery at the police. You cannot throw celery at the police in London and expect to get away with it.
It's good to know that that's a worldwide trait. That's a rule, right? I'm here with Chris Fowler here on the Rich Eisen Show. So after you came on the show about 3 months ago, we were talking about Jameis Winston right after the national championship game. He is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and I give you the floor on what you think. I know what you've seen. What do you think we are going to be talking about Jameis Winston this fall? Do you think we're going to be talking about his interceptions? We'll be talking about his remarkable transition to the National Football League? What do you think we might be seeing?
I'd say all of that. You'll be talking about some interceptions. You'll be talking about some mistakes that he'll make. You'll be talking about some great plays. We're talking about him having to adjust to not winning every game that you suit up for. We talked about this when we were on before. He had not really experienced a loss until that Rose Bowl debacle against Oregon, and not experienced a loss since the high school playoffs in Alabama. So how is he going to handle going to a team that, you know better than I, needs a lot of help?
Yes.
And he will take his lumps, and he will be humbled in the way that all NFL rookies are humbled. And how he handles that and handles that kind of adversity. Maybe those who know him said, "Don't worry about that. He'll be fine." But there'll be even more attention on him now than there has been before. I got amused when someone said, "How are you going to handle the microscope?" He's had a very strong microscope focused on him for the last 2 years.
Right. And in fact, I don't know if I got the number right, but I think I recall it from your previous appearance. You called 7 of his games?
I called 7 this past season.
Just this past season alone.
They were on a lot.
And you bring the cameras and the spotlight with you. So tell me about Mariota. And who is he? Because, I mean, I saw,
What's your take as someone that was getting maybe the closest first? My answer is I don't really know because he's not easy to get to know.
Because here he is saying, I'm not going to the draft. I want to spend time with my family and Hawaii at this party. And he's sitting there by himself. I mean, Winston is surrounded. He's next to his grandmother, it seemed. It was an older woman. I'm assuming that's who that was. And his whole family's just right on top of him.
Yes.
Mariota has earbuds in both his ears, just sitting there. Now, I think he might have been on the phone. I don't know, but it was as if everyone was giving Marcus his space amongst 1,000 people. And
Marcus has plenty of friends and a big family in Hawaii, and he's very family-oriented. I'm sure if he said he wanted to be there for the draft, that was genuine, and they all just cleared out because it's not really a family that seeks out the spotlight. They're not looking to share in his glory. I'm sure that probably looked a little funny to have him sitting there by himself because family and extended family and the trust and the closest in that group, I think is why it's hard to get to know Marcus a little bit. He doesn't really peel away the layers, keeps to himself. people wonder, is this guy vocal enough? Can he be the alpha male to lead the Oregon Ducks, much less an NFL team? He's, as we said at the time we talked before, he's much more of a vocal leader than people outside the program know. But how will he step up in that new role in the NFL? And it's not really his character. But I think he'll be, after he adjusts, because I think you would have some concerns. I love the guy, but I would have some concerns about his immediate adjustment to the NFL. As accurate as he throws the ball, as smart as he is, as great an athlete as he is, moving around the pocket and out of the pocket, you still have to adjust to that being under center and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's week one, Tampa Bay and Tennessee playing each other. Week one, right out of the gate, we're going to get Winston versus Mariota, because I'm assuming they're both.
I know Jameis will. You think Mariota's going to be a day one starter?
I think there's no question. I can't imagine that they would go ahead and pick him. And Mettenberger, who was 0-6, but he did show some flashes of having a big arm.
Yeah, I watch the draft differently. As you know, I'm not. Are the Jets going to improve themselves? Although I want my wife to be happy. Jennifer's a Jets fan, and I'm a Bronco fan. I want how is Ray going to work out with Denver? But I watch it differently, having gotten to know these guys a little bit, and realizing that on this night, this is the culmination of their dream. And guys like Amari Cooper, who I've known since he was a freshman. I had a big conversation with him before the championship game in his hometown of Miami, before they played Notre Dame, and so impressed with the guy and making his decision to go to Alabama, where you're not going to catch 100 balls. It's mostly your running offense, and you're having that work out so well. And then, it's the Raiders. I mean, that whole I felt for him. I mean, it's the black hole of the NFL, and I want the kid to do well. And Melvin Gordon, so happy to get to know him on the awards circuit, and how is he going to fit in San Diego. So I watch it from a very personal standpoint, how these guys, that's how I watch on Sunday, really, not because of a team allegiance, but I just want to see how these individual guys that I've gotten to know perform.
Well, and I'd love to talk about this with you, too, because you are a host extraordinaire. And I've tweeted this out. I think you are the best at it. And the
Good
fact
luck
that,
tonight, by the way, at the Emmys.
No, thank you. And the fact that you're not included in this mix is just an outrage. I've tweeted that out before, too. But you know how it works. When Shane Ray got drafted, I'm sitting there thinking a couple of things.
Of course you were.
Of course. I'm thinking with most people, of all teams, he goes to Colorado.
We're very tolerant in Colorado.
Where it's a very tolerant community.
I still have a place. I still have my driver's licenses from Colorado. I have a place out there. It's not a federal offense.
Well, but you know what it is if it's in your car, but maybe if there's other parts of and I'm thinking that in the back of my head as it's happening, but I'm also seeing him emotional, crying, a week in which he knows he did something stupid, wound up with him being drafted by John Elway, Peyton Manning. I mean, it is work. DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller are now his teammates, and he's crying. And as a host, I'm thinking, I can't make that snarky comment that's in my head right now. I can't do it. I'll just save it for the Rich Eisen show later next week. That's what I was.
I know you had 3 or 4 potential jokes immediately. I was watching, flipping around, seeing who's going to show the restraint, because it's going to blow up on Twitter. The snark lives.
Yeah.
And obviously, look, I'm glad the guy was remorseful. I'm glad that he knows he really screwed up. But it's still, as a Bronco fan, forgetting the fact that I like Shane Ray and covered him a little bit, and his backstory is interesting and all that. You make a decision like that. Is it going to be an anomaly, or as an NFL rookie, you have to make 100 crucial decisions about your behavior and your actions and how they impact yourself and your team. And you want them to be 100 out of 100 going forward, making those right decisions. And so, you're concerned as a fan.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, Von Miller's slipped up too, and things almost worked out for your Broncos last year. Well, let's take a break. Chris Fowler is here. 844-204-RICH. Maybe we'll take a couple of phone calls. We'll talk some tennis. Yes.
We will?
Let's talk some tennis on the Rich Eisen Show.
But stick around anyway.
Is that the bad? Should I have given a better tease going to break?
Your audience better than I. We just need more tennis fans.
We're back with Chris Fowler here and Paul Rudd right behind him in our New York-based edition of the Rich Eisen Show. Well, welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Chris Fowler here in studio. We are here for the next 2 days. I'm just going to go my disc jockey here when I hear music like this.
This song?
I just hear music like this.
This reminds me of a time I was talking to Jennifer this morning about all of us, but mainly I remember you dancing to Beyonce at a club in London in the 90s.
Go on.
Wait, what?
Crazy in Love. I think as someone pointed out, you have to dance when you hear Beyonce. But I do remember some interesting times.
We have had some interesting times.
Yes.
When I went to Wimbledon, I think.
Sadly, there's no video there. That was the pre-social media,
come on,
which is why I was dancing in a London club.
Exactly.
Now I wouldn't be,
If there was Periscope, then you'd be in trouble, Rich.
Did anybody here with a red-blooded male American pulse through us right now? Anybody see Beyonce at last night's Met Gala?
Great.
You seen the photographs?
I saw the red carpet. I
Moogly.
didn't see the gala.
Holy crow. No, I mean the red car. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh. That was one of those, where.
Impressive. I saw clips of that
game.
Letterman retrospective show. There's an early clip of Beyonce in his show. That was pretty much the same reaction I had when I saw her back then.
What's the poll question today at RichEisenShow.com?
Fantastic poll question, Rich.
Okay.
We're here in New York.
Yes.
A great historical city, a beautiful city. You love this city.
You're setting it up.
Tonight's poll question is, who are you going to lose to tonight at the Sports Emmys?
Okay.
Is it Ernie Johnson?
Yes.
Is it Bob Costas? The late, great Stu Scott, Mass Viscurgeon, or no one? You win.
Okay.
RichEisenShow.com. Call us. Vote.
Okay.
Early and often.
You left out Keith. Keith Olbermann is also nominated. Let's be careful. I'm seeing him tonight.
Oh, no.
He knows everything.
Well, Law told me to
Sees
leave him
everything.
off.
Because you're a Penn State
I didn't
guy.
say
No, I'm
anything.
just
Oh, okay.
Maybe I did.
Come on, you got to put Keith.
We'll update.
Okay.
We'll update that.
You want to vote on that? Chris, do you have a?
I'm sitting here. How could I not vote for you? I mean, how many years Costas won? I mean,
we were talking about that.
27 of them?
Dan asked if Bob should recuse himself. When I was on Dan's show before.
Didn't Dan jump up and I was there one year when he went up and collected for Costas?
Yes, because Bob wasn't there, and Dan was nominated that year. One of the many times he's lost to Bob.
Costas was there, but Dan just.
Oh, is that what it was?
Anyway.
Is that what happened?
I was there that year.
Yeah, I think-
Dan went up and accepted the award, and Costas just sat there and let him do the whole
Yeah,
speech.
it was kind of a bit they'd worked out, I would assume. That Dan didn't just storm the stage. But
It's sort of in the way that after Peyton Manning broke the record, and they played Keep Away. Like maybe if I win tonight, this is where it's going to go.
I don't know where it's going to go.
Bob has 18 nominations with 16 wins.
He's 16 for
So
18.
you're saying there's a chance.
It's the Dumb and Dumber chance that I have.
I mean, he only wins 86% of the time.
And Stuart's daughters are going to be there tonight. Taylor and Sydney are going to be there tonight. What's your memories of Stu when he first got there, Chris?
Well, I mean, I didn't get the good fortune of working with Stu very often, but
Right.
So I immediately just embraced the fact that here was a dude who came out fearlessly, bringing a fresh style and wasn't afraid to be himself. And you know how that's so hard to do when you step into a job like SportsCenter. You jump into that giant machine and you sort of think, they hired me because I can be like this other guy that they had, and you've been imitated, Keith's been imitated, Dan's been imitated, people have sat in that chair, and Stu didn't imitate anybody. I just thought that here's a dude with tremendous talent, confidence, and obviously the connection that he had with viewers and fans was you were able to witness maybe more than I was, but it was just an amazing connection. That's our job, to sit there, look into a camera, and connect with people on the other side. And he was brilliant.
In this town, I've told the story before, maybe on this show, I don't know. NBA All-Star Game, the last time it was, not this previous year, but the last time it was here, late 90s. That was when Kobe waved Karl Malone off the box in Madison Square Garden. Everyone's up in arms. Stuart and I were doing a Sports Center on Saturday night. At 11 o'clock, we got in a car, got to Times Square at 2 a.m. because the party was at the All-Star Cafe. Remember the All-Star Cafe?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
Gretzky, Shaq, Tiger Woods all put their money in a kitty for a Planet Hollywood-type sports-themed restaurant. Party's over, spilling out in the street. I'm like, okay, Stu, I guess that's it. And he goes, no. There's got to be another party. He goes up to a cop who recognized him, asked, where's the party? I'm like, why are you going to a cop? He goes, they probably know. So the cop says, here's this party. I'm hearing people walk by saying they're going to this spot. This spot is some club I've never heard of in my entire life near the Lincoln Tunnel.
Okay.
I'm beginning to walk. As I begin to walk towards this club, I am truly the only white person on the street. And Stuart Scott is Elvis walking to this facility, to this club. The Red Sea is parting, and everybody's coming up to him. And it was Elvis entering the building. And one guy comes up and goes, oh, my God, Stuart Scott, and looks at me and goes, and the white guy. I love the white guy.
Love that story.
100%.
I'm sure Stu had your back. And
he did. But the interesting thing about him is in his passing, And in the weeks following, people were talking about what a groundbreaking iconoclast he was, which he was. But at the time, people were not saying that about Stewart at all.
No.
People were not. And he had to fight through it. And
that's why I say the early years of what impressed me.
Yes,
and you saw that.
of course.
When you connect with an audience, when they know your style and they accept it, that's one thing. It's having the cojones to step in there and be yourself and bring a different energy and a different mentality and be a groundbreaker.
Tam in Michigan, you are on the Rich Eisen show with Chris Fowler. You there?
Yeah, Rich, hey, good to talk to you again. First, I'd like to say, Chris, I'm going to miss you on game day because that's how I used to set up my Saturdays in the fall, so you will be missed, brother. But
I'll miss you, too.
Good luck with that. Rich, good luck tonight, I think, for the poll question.
Yep.
I'd say you're a pretty good lock, but I'd say your only competition is the late, great Stuart Scott.
That would be the best loss of my life. That would be the best loss of my career, should that happen tonight.
I hear you. So the draft is over, and, I have my mobile app, the NFL Network app, and starting to see news like the Rams drafted Todd Gurley, and now Zach Stacy wants out. And Wentworth over the Bengals is missed because they took outside tackles. And I'm like, if it was me, and they drafted him, especially Gurley, who's coming off an ACL, you need to take that job from me. I'm not going to cry like a candy ass and go, I want to be out of here. That doesn't seem very professional to me.
No, look, I understand that. That would be one way to put it, and I think that's why the Rams did flip Zach Stacy while you were in London. They flipped him to the Jets for just a seventh-round choice. They took a linebacker out of Baylor, seventh round, and I appreciate the call, Tam.
Gurley's interesting, though. He's had as bad an injury as you could have. And
how good was he before that injury, right?
Phenomenal. I mean, to be that dominant a player in that conference with the best defensive players in college football trying to defend you, knowing that you're going to get the ball, he's a freak of nature. But I don't know, in this era, to spend a number 10 pick, was it? It was the 10th pick on him?
Overall pick.
On a running back who's somewhat damaged goods. I hope he covers and does well, but
he's coming back a lot quicker than many people had hoped, and it's certainly not like Marcus Lattimore, where his knee was totally shredded in that regard, from what everybody's saying. But Dion was talking about, and Marshall and others were saying he could have been the number one player in the draft, period, if his knee was sound, if he never shredded
as a running back.
Yes. That he's that
Marshall may be biased.
No, I know he was ecstatic that running backs were chosen too in the first 15. Before you go, let us talk tennis. The French Open is next for you, correct?
Yeah, it is, and it's a very interesting year because Nadal has dominated that event. He's 66-1 in his career, winning 9 times, but he's never been more vulnerable. And he's having a little bit of a crisis of confidence right now. Can't count in his game, and Djokovic is now the favorite. Imagine not being the favorite at a tournament that you've won 9 times and are 66-1, and as you enter, there are now doubts. So fascinating to see if Nadal, who's probably the favorite athlete that I've ever covered in any sport, if he can, fight through the ultimate crisis for him in terms of his on-court stuff and win a 10th French Open, or if Djokovic is going to get the career slam and become this dominant force that might win the calendar Grand Slam. That'll be the story if Novak wins in Paris.
Right, and I remember when Stuart and I were doing SportsCenter, and Venus was winning, and then here comes the younger sister. We'll see what Serena can do. And now she's an all-time great of the sport. Do you think she's got a shot on clay?
I think Serena always has a shot. She's had bad results there. You're right. She's only won 1 French Open. She speaks French, has a place in Paris, really wants badly to add to that total. I think has choked a few times because she does want it so badly. But, Serena sees at 33, even though she's playing and is as dominant as ever, time will run out, and she's chasing Steffi Graf. She's got a chance to get her 20th Grand Slam title in Paris, and if she can get that win, look out for Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. So Serena's always the favorite at any court in the world when she steps out there, and how she handles that pressure is always the interesting dynamic of a major.
So somebody who's won the tournament as much or won an event as much as he has and isn't the favorite, you're saying that Costas is the Nadal of tonight's sports Emmys. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think
Because you
Bob's
voted
still the
for me.
favorite.
Oh,
I
he's
think
still the
Bob's still the
favorite. Okay,
favorite.
he's still-
And many would say Nadal is still the favorite, even though he's looked vulnerable that he'll turn things around. So.
And you probably didn't see this because you were over in London. Steffi was ringside with Andre
I live in Vegas.
right there, right?
Yeah. I saw that Rory couldn't make it, and
Yeah, he gave his ride to Westwood, right?
Yeah,
His
Lee
tickets to
Westwood. Took his jet and his tickets.
Wearing a Niners hat, Lee
I know,
Westwood.
yeah.
I'm one of the
that.
guys who will not buy the fight. One of the 82% of your audience poll that would not buy a Pacquiao Mayweather rematch.
Could you have bought it in London?
Yeah, I asked the desk in London. It was at 4 a.m., by the way, London time. So not only would I had to stay up till 4 a.m. on the day before that I was going to have this massive soccer experience. I said, how much is that going to be? Because it was only 20 pounds or like 32 bucks US at your house. It's cheap because it's the middle of the night.
Okay.
But in my hotel room, for only $354, I could have brought the fight in and stayed up till 4 a.m. I was so glad when I followed it on Twitter when I got up and was, thank God I didn't ruin my night and spend that money.
And you're surprised that there might be a rematch.
Can't expense that to the worldwide leader?
Yeah, would you you couldn't have spent that?
That wouldn't have
Did not
gone over.
expense
You were not there in the
I was
worldwide
not a
leader
work
time.
trip. No,
it's
it was
not a
hard to
worldwide
hide that. It's hard to hide that. Try
not
to
a
explain it. And your hotel room entertainment bill was what for what? No, you don't explain that.
When was the last time you were paged in Bristol? When was the last time Chris Fowler was paged to like say 2149 Chris Fowler? When was the last time you heard your name paged?
I've set foot in the building like about once a year. I don't recall being paged.
This man has the greatest gig in the history of the worldwide leader. You are the best.
I'm right here in the greatest city in the
I know,
world.
it's incredible. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you.
Good luck tonight. Enjoy the rest of your time. Great seeing you.
Say hi to your lovely wife. Good to see you. That's Chris Fowler right here.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.